because that happened once early on. Luckily, it was just me and a friend talking about UFOs for 2.5 hours, and it somehow cut out the first 2 hours. Again, didn't really make or break the episode, so instead it was just 30 minutes of us talking about UFOs. You know, again, not a whole lot lost, but
You like my
I
cup?
do. It's beautiful. So I never know when it starts recording, but I record on 2, so that was really fucking interesting. Sorry for whoever just had to sit through that. Episode 192, Forrest Mattingly, my buddy from work, who is going to teach me about Magic the Gathering, and yeah, because you started to discuss it, and the other day, and I started to get really excited, and then I was just like, shit, I'm going to do an episode, and it was very hard to hold in, but I successfully held it in, and yeah. Forrest, go ahead and introduce yourself instead of my dumbass.
What's up, everybody? My name's Forrest. Me and Tommy work together.
Hi, Forrest.
I just kind of recently got back into Magic the Gathering, but I'm kind of that kind of person that, like, once I get into something, it's like
go all in. Yeah.
All in.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at work, I'm like, oh, I like beer. No, I love beer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, that's how I am, dude. I can't do something partially. So you started to explain it to me, and I guess we'll get more into it. You started first explaining kind of like the rules and how it's played, and that, but then you started to explain like trading, and that was like
collecting.
Now you're showing me there's like money involved, and I was like, okay, so now it takes on a much more, as we're working, making, you know, shit money, stocking shelves, and you're making money doing flipping cards. I was like, okay, so that's where we are now. So just fuck it, let's just jump right into it. What are you trading right now?
Well, actually, it's kind of good timing because I sold some cards on Sunday, and this guy just posted one card, and this is on Mercari, which is like a platform for like buying and selling like everything. It's like a Japanese company, and I just posted one card, and he bought it, and he was like, "What else do you have?" And I was like, you know, I didn't really want to sell some things, but the market right now is so strong. And I can allude to that later, but basically I was like, I have this and this and this and this to sell. And he was like, well, what are the prices for this and this? And I was like, some 5 cards, $600 after fees. Yep.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. What? And you were saying the other day that COVID has had a huge impact on this.
On the market, yeah. The reason I think, and we're kind of jumping ahead, we can get back to this, but like the reason I think that COVID had such a big impact on the market, specifically this one, it does correlate to other markets in like trading and collectibles, but everybody was freaking out. They were like, you know, I have all these assets. People were getting laid off. They're like, I have all these assets and stuff that's just like, you know, it's a Veblen good or a Veblen good, however you say it. And it was like, you know, if you can make money off of it, you can make money off of it. So like market got saturated. Everybody was selling, and then people like me that kind of was like, well, I'm still working and I'm not spending any extra money on stuff. I was like, buy. And then once things kind of settled out and people, you know, if they were collecting money or who knows, I mean, they just came back super strong, like super crazy strong. Like I have a couple examples I'll show you, but
yeah, please do. It's yeah, because you were showing me, and it was. I don't know why in my mind when you were like, yeah, buying and selling, I just had this like cryptic idea of like you in like a trench coat in some dark alley, like selling them. Like, but you showed me, and it was like, no, it's fucking. It looks like the E-Trade app, just with all the numbers and tracking and shit. And and you were like, yeah, I got this, I flipped that, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
MTG Goldfish, yeah. There's some sites. There's like MTG stocks and everything. It'll kind of show you prices of cards and where they were and where they have gone, and like it's almost like the stock market. Like you never know, you really never know. I mean, you can kind of speculate on certain things, but at the end of the day, it's like I wish I played a little bit more. I maybe would be able to speculate as an investor and a collector a little bit more, because then, you know, certain cards come out and then it makes certain vintage cards that you can pair with that like even better, and the supply and demand is so high, like supply is so low that these cards just skyrocket into the stratosphere, you know.
Have you ever thought of making like another account and like flooding the market with like card A that goes with card B, and then come along and sell card
that
B?
Is actually, it's funny that you brought that up, because that happens. I mean, it is a market that is incredibly easy to manipulate online.
Yeah.
Because let's say you buy all the big websites that carry the cards, you buy every single card that they have, right? So now there's no cards readily available to buy from like a legit source. Like you got to go to eBay. So now these guys put the cards on there for like whatever they want to sell it for. And then on those sites like MTG Goldfish, it says that it's a $12,000 card when yesterday it was like a $6,000. You're like, what the hell is going on?
So I guess there's no like SEC, right?
No.
There's no federal government's not tapping into this. It's dude, maybe that's like a form of cryptocurrency as we like head towards like more COVID and like probably like an eventual. The guys I just had on the Delta Force guys, they were like, no, get ready for the Civil War. It's coming. And I was like,
get prepared.
I was like, God damn it. But
it does feel a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't mind when other people say it, but when these two like Delta Force veterans are like, I would say that is coming. Lock and load. Get your bug out.
Then you start thinking, you're like,
Well, then I'm like, God damn it. Because it's not even, other people are like, I'll survive. Like, I don't want to survive that. Like, I don't want to live in a post-apocalyptic, like, if I can't have air conditioning, a refrigerator, running water, and an Xbox, like, I don't want to be in that world. Like,
imagine a modern Civil War. That'd be crazy.
Horrendous. It's slaughter, complete slaughter. And not only that, like, I don't want to be alive during that. I don't have that, like, fighter spirit that's like, we got to keep humanity going on. I'd be like, dude, fucking shoot me first. I don't want to play this.
I know. I feel like I'm a little too empathetic where I would see, like, some struggling child and then they pull out, like, a freaking...
Yeah, it would be, someone would be on the side of the road and you'd pull over to help them and it'd be an ambush and they'd fucking hang you. And we'd find your body and we'd be like, God damn it, Forrest. Yeah. I'm like that.
Or we can go the other route and somehow... magic cards become the new currency.
Well, that's what I was getting into.
I'm a king.
That's what I was leading into. God damn it, you stole my thunder. I was gonna say post-apocalyptic currency. You can't do crypto if there's some fucking EMP blast and all everything online, every electronics destroyed. You would need a hard currency. Magic the Gathering.
And the way that that would actually work is that. In the end of the day, this is a card game. You don't have electronics anymore. You know, how else are you going to pass time?
Oh, Jesus. Dude, you would be a warlord. You'd be covered in, like, velvet and jewelry. You'd have, like, the only working car in Maryland. And you'd just, you'd have...
The only working car.
Yeah, be drawn by a bunch of fucking hot girls. You'd have them pulling it like horses or something. And you'd come into town, trumpets playing and shit. We'd take over the liquor store, right? Because that's a special commodity. It's... Yeah.
So I consider myself a nerd, right? But I would imagine that, like, those like legitimate, like, cave dwelling kind of type nerds. I bet that's a serious fantasy that they've had.
Sure. Sure. Oh yeah. A bunch of hot girls, like, waving them with palm trees or something. Yeah. Yeah. The problem is those guys are gonna die because it instantly 100%. Goes to like. I mean, the majority of us are gonna die. Like, it's Civil War benefits no one. Like, no. I know we're going to do a magic episode and we're very quickly veering off into Civil War. It benefits no one, man. Nothing gets better from it. All it does is make us more susceptible to a Chinese and or Russian and or North Korean and or Iranian takeover or at least invasion. Nothing comes from it. Like, nothing comes from it. Whatever is bad right now, you don't like whoever's in the White House, whatever, for or against. I'm not painting any side. Whatever this, like, perceived injustice and oppression and, resist, whatever is bad now will be 100,000 times worse if shit pops off.
It's just like such an easy conversation to have because, I mean, you have civil war in your own country and you weaken your own economy and then you've just killed off, like, all these people that were potential soldiers that you could draft into an actual world war, and it's just like... And workers. I mean, economy, you just like...
Yeah, I mean, that's why the Civil War was the most deadly in U.S. history, because every death was American.
Every single death, yeah.
You died American. You got to confirm
like
guilt, American. It was 400,000. It's, greater even than the Korean War. Yeah, people. More deaths than we had lost soldiers in World War II, because every kill you get is also an American death. And you're right. Not only that, though, I mean, that's what we fucking do when we want to take someplace over. CIA goes over there. Takes us a year or two. We fuck some shit up, do some faux elections, push a guy, install a dictatorship. Next thing you know, boom. And what do we do when it collapsed? we come in there. Hey guys, Uncle Sam's here. That's gonna happen to us. But it's gonna be CCP. It's gonna be China coming in, going, "Oh, hello America, hello please." And yeah, I ain't looking at that. But we'll veer back into reality. I just because an intense episode before this, and it's like still in my mind. I'm just like, we're fucked. I'm fucked. Everything's fucked. But yeah, I'd like to push that into
everything is fucked.
Everything is fucked. But you know what? Nothing can ever be truly like unfucked. Like no matter what you do, even if there's no civil war, even if you're in perfect health and you make $1 billion, you still die. Like there's nothing you can do to truly get away from it, right?
So macabre of you.
But to me it's liberating. To me that's optimistic because it's liberating.
I am much more afraid of like just getting old than dying. Just because, like,
yeah, that sucks.
Within our prime, I don't want to be like some old guy.
I've watched my grandmother, pass away 2 years ago, but over 5-6 years. I'm like, dude, I don't want to get there.
Yeah.
I don't want to die now.
Yeah, like my great grandfather, my aunt. He was 93, but I mean, I got to see him through his whole entire life, and it was like the last 3 years was like, boom, totally. I mean, like. Ridden, just like couldn't take care of himself, and it was just like, what's the point? What's even the point?
Well, it's Hunter S. Thompson committed suicide. I think he was 64, but his plan was to commit suicide at 50. And when he committed suicide at 64, I think in his letter, he said 14 years too late. He was like, I don't.
14 years too late.
And it was just like,
he's such an interesting person. I actually just got into him watching like. I've seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas a ton of times, but I like just got into watching like old interviews by him, and I'm like, this dude was fucking crazy. He's insane, dude. Like his writing, like his technique too, the way that he was like in the zone, it was like, how did that work?
He started all these rumors about Nixon because he fucking hated President Nixon. So he started these rumors about Nixon being like a cannibal or something. And when someone was like, where'd you hear those rumors? Or he's like, where'd you hear that? And he's like, oh, the rumors. I heard the rumors. He's like, where'd you hear the rumors? He was like, in the mirror. I said it to myself, and that's when I heard it. So he would just start rumors and then be like, I heard it. And
in the mirror, man.
Yeah. He's, but I don't know, man. Do you think that this is just a passing thing? Because if you look back at like the 60s and 70s, right? Segregation, not civil war, Vietnam War. A president gets shot in the head and we land on the moon. Like, think of how in the middle of all that there's Woodstock, Cuban Missile Crisis. Like, how insane is all that? And like, we got through it. They were shooting black people with fire hoses. The president got shot in the head. We landed on the moon. They're protesting. National Guard opened fire at Kent State. Right? All this is happening. Meanwhile, we're fighting the Soviets with 70,000 nuclear weapons pointing at each other. And we somehow kind of just... We squeaked out.
And then all of a sudden, it was like 2000 and 1999, and there was Britney Spears.
It was Britney Spears when we were hopping, and it was good. Yeah, and it was just... But that's how
And then it was cool.
And then it was cool. It was chill. That's how I look at it. I'm like, we got through that. Is it...
Yeah.
Is right now just more insane because everyone has a camera in a social media account?
I don't know. I mean, you're kind of close enough in age to me that like we kind of had the same childhood, and like I remember the early 2000s and like the early, then the late, the early 2010s or whatever we call it now, and just I don't know if it's because we were kids, but everything kind of did feel good. I mean, it felt normal and like really at that 2012, 2016 point, it was just sort of like So
were we just kids? I don't know. Because you're right. Or was it a coincidence? Did we get older and then it really did go to shit? I don't know. I was 11 on 9/11. I mean, I guess then we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, 2008 crisis. Who knows? Maybe if we were in our 20s, I'm 30. Maybe if it was 2000, we'd be saying we're in the shit.
Yeah, I was only in second grade. And, 11. I barely remember it. I just remember because I was in Atlanta. I was in the South.
So was I.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta. I was going to one school that was near Little Five Points, like Mary. I can't remember what it's called.
I went to Our Lady of the Assumption Middle School. There's Christ the King.
What is it called?
There's Christ the King, IHM, Immaculate Heart of Mary, St. John Newman. St. Thomas More. We were all in the Catholic school kids. We didn't interact with you public school people. we were in our little uniforms. Yeah.
I just remember we all got pulled into the cafeteria like early in the morning, and then it was like everybody was just getting picked up, and I was like, oh,
yeah, oh. I don't remember. Yeah, I remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember getting Well, I loved skyscrapers, and I still do, and I always have my whole life. So when I found out, I was very upset for like the most like superficial reasons. I was like, those were such great buildings. God damn it!
Couldn't grasp the reality.
Braces and bolt cuts, and I'm like, a lot of people died. I get it, but I'm like, come on now. But yeah, it's I don't know. Do you think? I hope that. I think it will be. Maybe I'm just optimistic. I think we'll look back on 2020 and it will just kind of be like a weird, we'll look back and like, you always see it's in the movies, right? You see the old woman with like the raspy voice, like, don't worry, honey, I survived the 60s. You'll be fine.
So, I'm glad you brought that up. I keep seeing the best memes where it's like an old woman in a rocker and it's like, she's like, I remember I used to go see bands play live music. And the granddaughter's like, oh, you're so tired, Grandma. It's time for you to take a nap.
Yeah, right? We used to go to the bars in groups of 50. Like, okay, Grandma.
Okay, Grandma, time to take a nap.
It's gonna be like Holocaust deniers. They're gonna see pictures of us at like football stadiums, and they're gonna be like, that's all Photoshop. No one was ever there. You can't do that. But it's gonna kind of be the same way with like self-driving cars.
Yeah.
I used to drive. Really, Grandpa?
I used to get Netflix delivered to my house, and they're like,
you have to get Netflix delivered to my house.
We
used to have sex with other human beings instead of just tapping into the hypermind and experience.
I think either that, where you go into like VR and you basically just have an experience there, or like definitely like sex robots for sure.
Sex robots for sure. That's what world peace.
At some point, I've always thought my biggest like not conspiracy theory, but just sort of like because like inevitably we're going to be overpopulated. Yeah. And I feel like that'd be the easiest way to control at least something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you could upload...
Have to control the population, but people are going to not have sex.
Yeah. Yeah. Would just be that. Or even resources. If everyone uploaded their mind onto a computer, you wouldn't need to eat. Everything would just be a digital experience. So, like, you could just power it by solar power. You wouldn't need farms.
I mean... So I've always loved the Matrix trilogy, which is what that sounds like. And honestly, like, all it is you perceiving, senses and everything in your brain. And I mean, I don't feel like there would be a big difference between actually doing it with your physical form and perceiving it with your mind.
Probably wouldn't even be able to tell.
That's why the people that believe in that, you can't really disprove.
You can't. It's the brain in the vat theory, right? Or it's if you're a brain in a vat, how can you ever prove you're not a brain in a vat? Because everything, it's like if you prove you're not dreaming in a dream, what happens when you wake up, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's I don't know, man. I have no fucking idea.
I think my mom kind of messed me up a little bit too, because she was like, obviously with my name, like she was a super big hippie and like a free thinker, and so my whole life, like she was a single mom, so like sitting around, I'm just talking to her.
Yeah.
And she is very, very into reincarnation. Mm-hmm. She's super into like fourth dimension realities and like parallel
higher
universe
levels. Yeah,
and she's like very into like when you sleep and you can. What is that called? You sleep and you travel. Like she thinks our spirits like
astral projection.
She very much believes in that too. Yeah. She's very intelligent as you know. So like I've been thinking about that since I was like 10.
Yeah. Well, that guy I had on last week, Dr. Eben Alexander, the Harvard neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
Was talking about like how he thinks there's like proof of like reincarnate. Apparently there's like reports of like kids talking to each other, like a 3-year-old talking to, or however early you are when you can talk, right?
Like 3.
Yeah, so like
2.5,
so it's like a 4-year-old talking to a 2-year-old, and he's saying like, tell me about heaven because I'm forgetting.
Oh wow!
Because like as you get older, you forget. So the younger kid's telling him because he's closer to birth. So he's like, it's like this, and he's like, I'm forgetting what it's like.
Dude,
I know, right? And apparently there's like 30. That's what he's saying. 3,500 cases of this.
So it's not like a one-off.
No. And this is a Harvard neurosurgeon. This isn't just you, me, and Vinny, like, maybe we've been in the freezer for too long and we're not thinking straight. It's
my brain, I'm a little cold.
Yeah, a little. It's no, dude. This
in
is.
my brain.
I don't know, man. But he brought up an idea, and it's an idea I've heard before that I like. It's the idea that consciousness isn't created by the brain; it's tuned in by the brain, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't think that's crazy.
You start thinking about different animals and everything, like how cats have such quick reflexes because they perceive things faster than we do, and it's like you're like, what?
Yeah, like what is? Because what is perception? I mean, think about hills and mountains, right? We look at it as here are these, as old as the hills, as old as the mountains, the timeless things, right? There's so many analogies and spiritual shit you can tie into that. But if you were to look at it on like the universal scale, like if you were to just look at like Earth, if you were to look at like how old's the Earth, 4 billion years, if you looked at that over the course of like 60 seconds, well, the Earth's crust is, I've heard it explained by Commander Hadfield, that astronaut who's been on Joe Rogan. He said the Earth's crust is like if you took a hot soup, or he said like if you like melted like a big pot of cheese for whatever.
Yeah.
Say it's like Christmas, you're cooking, and you take it back out on the back porch for it to cool off a little bit. He said you leave it out there for like a minute and then bring it in. There's a very tiny skin, and then inside it's still like boiling. He goes, that's what the crust of the Earth is. It's a tiny skin on a boiling ball. But because it's going so slow, and we are so tiny, we view it as Mount Everest. It's granite. It's rocks. You got to drill down. Yeah. The point of me saying that is like if you sped up time, you'd see mountains flowing like waves.
Like waves.
Just hills. It would just be doing that. And but we don't see that. We see them as static. So yeah, like what is even reality? Because is there not some being? Like what if the sun is conscious and it just sees... what if it just grows and explodes and that's like, oh, that's its life, but it just feels like 10 years?
My thing is like, I can buy into all that. You could explain it enough to where you'd be like, yeah,
sure, why not? Yeah.
I just wonder if there will be ever a time in human history that we know. I mean, I don't think we can. But we just started taking records. We just started
10,000 years.
All these things at a knowledgeable, understandable level. I mean, we're definitely not going to be alive for that.
No.
But I wonder if at some point there will be.
I don't think, are you saying at one point we'll have it all figured out?
Answers, yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's woven into the universe.
I mean, we're about to kill each other in 2020.
No, right? Because because one corporate puppet is a little, and that sounds so edgy. But I mean, in reality, what is it? I mean, it's one rich corporate puppet dude. Fucking kill the establishment. Don't trust anyone over 30. Yeah. But I mean, really, what is it? It's one old white guy worth $1 billion versus another old white guy worth like a couple $100 million. Like, I mean, come on.
It's like,
come on. One is an old white guy that's pro cop. The other is an old white guy that has a cop running with him. I mean, come on. And we're at each other's fucking throats.
It's so stupid, dude. I can't even it's hard to even talk about it a little bit because it's just sort of like, especially if you're both on the same level, you're really just like talking at each other because it's like, yeah, I'm in the same position. I get it.
Yeah. You're just jerking each other off. You either both have the same beliefs, and then you're like, you're right. No, you're right. We're awesome.
You're righter than me,
dude. You're right. That's what I think. Or you disagree the slightest, and you're like, fuck that moron.
Oof. Yeah, I haven't been in any political debate.
No, in a while. You gotta just walk away from it all, dude. You gotta it's hell. It's just insanity. Do you think is now the time that the UFOs come?
Dude, so what was it, 4 or 5 months ago when the Navy or whatever, they finally released those documents? Yeah. We don't know what that thing was.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was a UFO. I mean, it was a UFO, unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
And then when that came out, and then that I believe it was a NASA paper that was parallel universes exist, or it was the way that, I can't remember. You remember that document I'm talking about?
The New York Times. I remember the New York Times article saying this was different than the Navy thing with Fravor.
Yeah.
The New York Times article that came out that said the U.S. government has recovered craft not of this world, and that was May, and it just kind of skated by, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Well, there was another one that skated by that it was a NASA paper, and it was this guy, and he basically had proven either parallel universes or that
Sure, pull it up.
The way that we perceive reality is like, man, I can't remember what it was, but it was like the same thing. It was like UFOs, and then it was like we're all just living in a plane of existence that's not physical. It's, and it was like, what the hell's going on, bro?
Yeah, so here's the real truth behind the viral, quote, NASA finds parallel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd have to read through this whole thing, and I'm not going to do that while we're going. Yeah,
that's why we need a third person with a computer.
I know. I need a young Jamie so badly, dude.
Yeah, you do.
I need a fucking young Jamie. Because I can't, my brain shuts off if I try to multitask. It's
hard if you, like, it's almost there, but you can't, and you just need someone to Google it, the keyword.
The simplest shit becomes so difficult, like, while I'm doing an episode. Like, texting someone or just turning I'll find my brain goes down to, like, 4% capacity. I won't just silence my phone. If it is, like, my phone's making noise, I won't just be like, oh, sorry, doing a pod. I'll be like, I'll turn it off and, like, throw it across the room. And I'm like, dude, just put it on airplane mode. Just swipe up. But I freak out.
It's not
and if you can't tell, this is how my podcast goes. We come on, we're like, we're gonna talk about Magic the Gathering, and then now we're just balls deep in UFOs. But that's how it goes, and that's how I like it. So,
I mean, if we only talk about magic, it'd be like a 30-minute commercial. I mean,
commercial sponsored by Magic. Yeah, no, dude, it's whatever you want. Yeah, it's.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I feel, again, maybe I'm being optimistic, but I'm going to take a page out of Elon's book, and it's better to be optimistic and wrong than be pessimistic and right. Because if you're pessimistic and right, what is that? Hooray! I knew the world sucked. Ha! I got you. Told you that life was meaningless. Why do you? I knew she was cheating on me. I'm right. It's like, what?
And then the realism sets in. You're like,
oh. Shit, she was. So I'd rather be optimistic and wrong, because then it's just like, it's. So, I'd like to think that there's something kind of like, you know what the Uncanny Valley? No, that's a terrible analogy. Never mind.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. No, I don't know. Fuck it. Let's try to bend it. You know what the Uncanny Valley is, right?
No.
Uncanny Valley is that the more realistic we get at, I guess, creating like faces in video games or just digital simulations. Mm-hmm. The more realistic the faces get, and the more realistic we get at like facial expressions, eyes, dilation, muscles around your face, smiles, teeth, tongue movement. The closer we get, so it's like the ability to trick the human brain is on like the y-axis, and like the realism of the face is on the x-axis. It's going up and up and up and up, right? The better it gets. Mario on N64 versus like Grand Theft Auto 5 on a 4K TV. It gets better. But then it's called the Uncanny Valley, where you get really close and then it plummets. Mm-hmm. And you can just look it up on YouTube, Uncanny Valley. You don't even need to read about it. You can just watch an example and you'll know, because you'll watch it and you'll go, something is unsettling. It makes your skin crawl. You're like, what is that face?
I do think I know what you're talking about, just because I've experienced that, where they were like, remember when they generated what a real human being would look like only using CGI or at least computer is, or like a database of people's faces, and you're like, that's not a person. You're like, that's not what a person looks like.
There's something, you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it was as close as we can make a human look like that doesn't exist.
Yeah. But you look at it and something's something in your body is just, there's some primitive thing that's like, kill it. Yeah. Like, that's an invader. Kill it now. It's just like, kill it. That's not one of you.
Have you seen Westworld?
No, I know I need to. My older brother keeps trying to get me into it, but I'm too fucking ADD, man. I can barely hold down a podcast and going, work.
Are you not a big TV show like?
No, but that's the thing is, like, when I do sit down and watch, I watched Man in the High Castle in like July.
I just read that book, actually.
I need to read the book. I was so into it. Mm-hmm. And like, so I know if I watch something like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad, I know I would love it.
It's so funny you read the book, because that's like right up your alley. Like,
I know.
This wins World War II.
I know. I need to. It's, the thing is that when I start to like touch any of that stuff, I get sucked in.
So much. Yeah.
So I think it's that, like, I try to stay at a distance. Like,
so what was your analogy with Uncanny Valley, though?
Oh, yeah.
Damn, we're
maybe we're getting closer to it, and really got to stretch for this one. So,
okay.
put on your moron hats. Maybe no, put on your multiple dimension. We're going into the spirit world. Open your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe as we get closer to utopia, right? That sort of spiritual idea of like when the whole world, there's like a new age idea of like the world's going through a shift, and right, we're gonna transcend, jump to the next level, right? Maybe as we get closer to it seems like things are getting better for 2,000 years, right? Running water, flight, television, antibiotics, contraceptives, chemotherapy, hybrid cars, 4G, 5G, video games, Snapchat, right? We get better and better and better and better. And then as we get really close to utopia, there's an uncanny valley where we say, fuck all this. And maybe that's where we are right now. We're like, fuck the president. We're like, go out and riot, kill everyone, bomb China, COVID. It's just, we got to ban TikTok. We get closer and we're like, kill everything.
How dare people make videos that make me laugh?
I know, right? Maybe there's some weird, we're getting close to utopia, and part of us is just screaming because we've been trying to get to it since the pyramids and the wheel, and now we're getting close to it, and we're freaking out.
I'm on board with that because, I mean, think about every major war, and I'm not just saying like in modern times, like, like feudal Japan, and then you got the Crusades, and then you got everything before that, and it's just like, things were in a linear progressive state of like technology, and then it was just like kill everyone,
murder everyone. Yeah, it's
this as a collective. We don't like that collective. Murder.
Destroy them all. Yeah, it is.
What? If you think about it.
Yeah, for what is maybe we know deep down inside that whether or not we want to admit it, we're happiest when we're struggling. When you put your mind on a distant goal and you're like, just want to work towards it. A video game, the grind, it's whatever it is.
I've always enjoyed the grind more than actually like succeeding.
The thing is never great. The thing is
like
never
when I bought
great.
my first car, it was like all I could think about, and I was saving the money, and my credit score was skyrocketing, and I was like looking up mods to do to it, and then I got it and I had it for a year and I sold it, and I was like, I'm over this thing.
Yeah, I'm finished.
It
right?
was cool, and I was like,
That's how I felt when I got into med school, man. I was like, what do I do now? I was like, I don't actually want to go. I was like, I don't want to do it. Like, it's right. It's maybe that's it. Maybe in our subconscious, we're getting close to this utopian ideal. We could have robots running on solar power, producing everything, using nanotechnology. We can link into the hive mind. So we're getting to a point where we can just jump into bliss and just orgasmic bliss. No one ever dies. There's no pain. Maybe deep down we know that we love struggle. And so we kick it down the road.
Point, though, that you brought up, like, as we get closer to utopia with, like, all this modern medicine and, like, ease of life now. It's just like, life should be pretty rad right now.
Life should be amazing.
It should be pretty good, but it seems like people with semi-different views on the world are just like strife. Just
it's
corporate.
Corporate stooge. But I mean, think about it. I have bad eyesight. I should be getting eaten by a tiger, but instead I just, all right, glasses. Or if I had some money, I can go get a laser shot into them, and they're better, right? Fucking, computer.
$5,000 laser shot.
Just computer in my pocket, and I'm on a computer right now talking to you.
I was watching this Joe Rogan podcast, and he was like, they were talking about like when do they think they're going to implant phones and will become not cyborgs, but Android, right?
Yeah. Is that the right term?
And then whoever he had on, he was like, dude, we already are, man. This is an extension of yourself. You always have it. We already are.
That was Elon Musk. That was the first time he was on.
It was, right? Yeah, because it was like, it's crippling if you don't have this. Like,
and what can you do with it? You don't need to remember your phone numbers. You can just pull it up.
Yeah.
I don't need to look at something and go, okay, try to remember what it looked like. I just, and there's like a 10 megapixel picture.
Like we had Jamie. We could have talked about that one thing
and had that going. But yeah, even that is like a form of cyborg. You could have this thing going in the background, right? It is calculators. You can get onto the internet. You can spread information. I just got one of those Google Homes, and it's been tricky because I'll be like, I wonder what the weather is, and I just say it out loud, and cyborg tells me. Yeah, my parents have an Alexa, and it's always weird. Like, Yeah, it's
Alexa, man. Alexa scares me.
But it's
What do you think? United States of Amazon?
United States of Amazon.
Probably.
Do you think Bezos is going to be the first trillionaire?
100%.
100%.
Has to be.
Because he broke 200 billion a couple weeks ago, and is the first man in modern time to do that.
That whole thing where he wants to make the entire company all electric, with like the wind farms and every single car delivery truck is electric cars.
Awesome.
And
that's cool.
I think it's rad, and I think it's definitely going to revolutionize the way people do things. And I think he's going to be able to monetize that to such a high degree that
just a game over. Well, he wants to, and he wants to go into space. You know, he's the lesser known sort of. There's a great book called Space Barons, but what he wants to do is he wants to go and mine asteroids. I mean, because there are chunks of gold the size of Maryland floating around. You can just go find it, and it's not even to crash the market. I mean, we use it when creating electronics. We use rare earth metals.
Yeah, you need it as like conductors and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the reason that they're called rare earth metals because there's not a lot of them, and 90% of the world's trade goes through China, so you can circumvent that. But I think he will be. It's I didn't know. Did you know, adjusted for inflation, John Rockefeller was actually worth $400 billion, and
oh really? At one point,
yeah, and Carnegie was I think $300 billion.
Damn.
Which is insane.
I mean, at that point, like that amount of money, what do you even do with it?
They're addicted to the grind. It's the same thing. They're addicted to the grind, dude. Why
do they never do anything with it? That's why Elon Musk, because he did the grind, he made money, and then he was like, let's make a new grind for myself, but that is like beneficial.
The ultimate grind. It's the ultimate
like
grind.
When I was listening to his podcast, he was talking about digging holes in LA to make better.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that's what you have to do to stay sane. I think you have to choose a grind. That is, you can't choose an impossible grind because then deep down inside it's impossible. So if he was like, I want to get us to a different galaxy, that's not in our lifetime. That's just
you're like.
But I don't think even he could delude himself. But going to Mars, like we have rovers there, like we have got there.
Yeah.
I think that's enough of a. Where he's like, I'll probably not get there, but what if? And I think that's right. Tom Brady going back for another Super Bowl win. Likely? No. Well, I don't know shit about football. I don't know, maybe. But
I don't know. I don't know that much.
But it's a non-zero chance, right? It's a non-zero chance. I want him to get back just so he'll have 10 appearances. He'll have 10 appearances. That I don't think that will be beaten. I don't know. Forrest, I gotta pee. Fill the gap. Unless you gotta pee.
Oh, man.
Do you gotta go?
So disappointed in you. I'll go.
You have to, if you don't, I mean, I normally tell people just to fill the gap so there's no dead air. You do whatever the fuck you want, Forrest. Welcome to the Forrest Show.
Better pee quick. All right. How should we get back on track to magic talk? I just start talking about it. That's it? Okay. Just gotta start talking about it. Tommy's a good guy. I like Tommy. Smart guy. Pee's a little too much, but he's a good guy overall. Let's think about aliens.
Aliens. So, I just checked E-Trade and the market is fucking tanking. So much for Battery Day, dude. Battery Day yesterday is supposed to be the big day where Tesla announces these new whatever batteries, and the market's tanking. It's goddamn
market's tanking.
Yeah. Relatively, not that. I bought some stocks 2 weeks ago, and now I know everything about the stock market. So let me tell you, right? But
that was like me with Magic when I first
bought it. You're like, fuck.
Had like $500 in cards, and I was like, they would go, like one card would lose $3, and I'd be like, sell. It's
just sell. Yeah, I put in because I got my stimulus check like a month ago.
That's so weird, dude. I got mine like instantly, bro.
I think I got it later than everyone else in the United States. But I invested that, and so it's like 1,200. Like one day, like Tesla goes up a bit, and the value's at like right 1350, and I'll be like
Yeah.
fucking rolling in it. I've made it. It's the end. I can quit my job. I'm now a billionaire. And then like today it's down to 900, and I'm like, it's done. I gotta sell it all. Probably gotta start slinging crack. It's the only way I'm gonna pay the bill, right? It's
so Lexi told me something interesting that would like definitely bother the crap out of me. Apparently, because like her father has been married a couple times. I think it was like his first wife or second wife. He had like 2,000 shares in Apple.
Oh.
And he sold it to buy either like his first or second wife's wedding ring.
Why would you use shares to buy that?
Dude, I don't know, man. Time's different, bro.
Maybe it was symbolic, or
right. And then they just got they're divorced.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, and those shares are probably, who knows.
I hope I never have anything like that happen to me.
Yeah, man. I think you got to go prenup.
Oh yeah.
I think you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy because I don't have a girlfriend, so I can't, and I'm not married, never have been. I don't have kids, so I'm obviously speaking from like an armchair expert.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. If you had kids, I can see where like you need to guarantee the other person, because what if the guy's working nonstop for 20 years and the mom, who could have been working that whole time, is staying home and raising the children? And I'm sure someone's going to say I'm a Nazi for assuming that that's the role, right? There's no such thing as gender roles. Okay, well, sorry. Let's take it, my example. My father, the breadwinner, my mom, who was a nurse, but then we'll put it all on pause to raise 4 children, is a wonderful mother. Shout out, Mom, I love you.
Shout out all moms.
Shout out all moms. Hashtag moms. Hashtag mom strong. Hashtag blessed. But it's but that's a real case, right? So she could have been a nurse for all those years, or anyone could have been a lawyer, could have been a doctor, whatever, but chose to raise the kids, and then they get separated for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You gotta, right? That's, for one, you gotta make sure like the mother of your children is okay, but not even that, even just from like a fair standpoint, right? Because now the dad has like several children that are raised to like competent adults.
Yeah.
And now what? Just boots mom out, and it's like, well, you gotta fucking reimburse, right? I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But for like, I don't want kids, I don't really see any reason why like I gotta cut down the center. So
for me, like Lexi wants a prenup, but like if we were to ever get married, like she wants a prenup, I would probably want one as well. And it's not only because of like my assets or her assets, but also like, both of our parents are, we're both pretty privileged,
Sure.
So her mom has lots of assets, and so does my mom. We're going down to Tennessee to go to my mom's like third home or something.
Yeah.
And so like, we're going to get our parents' assets, and like, what if we get divorced when we're 60? And it's like,
why do you get
on paper?
Yeah.
We're married, and it's like, well, who gets that house or this house and that house?
Yeah. It's
so in a way, I mean, it does make sense.
Yeah.
I think not getting one is just, you're just setting yourself up for potential catastrophic failure.
Yeah. And I also get the argument for like, well, by not getting one, that's like an actions speak louder than words, right? You're showing your commitment. But to me, I look at it as like, why does it matter? Like, because if you're planning on being with someone forever, then why would it matter if you don't have a prenup? Because if you're with me forever, then you get to enjoy all of this stuff forever anyway, right? You can argue.
Everyone says that too. Like that is getting married and whole, and it's like, well, then why is the divorce rate 60%?
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. It's hairy. Yeah.
I mean, I think at the base, monogamy is just not in our human nature. There's a reason it only takes 9 months to grow a child. If you were meant to only have one, it would take like 30 years.
Yeah, right. And it seems like that's how long like puppy love lasts, right? Doesn't it seem like that's
18 years,
right? That's like an evolutionary way for the husband to stay around for 9 months, just to be right? Infatuation. And what is it really? It's biology making you obsessed with this girl, so you're around her. In reality, you're protecting her because your offspring is growing in her what? So
the only thing that I don't want to happen with a utopia is I don't want it to be like The Giver, where we're all like emotionally inept because we take a pill every day, and we all just that's the one thing.
Just brave new world.
In a way, because of biology, it seems like most of our everyday modern life problems is because of like an evolutionary need or biology, you know, like cheating and greed and envy.
Yeah, is the real way to go in and just turn off that desire.
I don't want that though. I don't want.
That's what makes life fun, right?
Well, I guess if you were born and you didn't know and it was just your reality, what if we were even crazier? What if we are doing that? You know, like what if we, you know, like think about medieval times.
What
like
if we've already turned off some stuff?
What if that's how we are naturally and we're all just like this because of the in the atmosphere?
Oh Jesus Christ, dude!
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because when we're just like, you know, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. Well, even happiness is still like, you know, I just want it to taste good. Well, what does taste good? It has fat and sugar. Well, why is that? Because our body needs energy, right? Why do we just want to rest and relax? Because our body is just saying, like, save the calories because you don't know when you're going to have to outrun a tiger and go not eat for a week.
Yeah.
So even our concepts of, like, happiness and fulfillment are still just genetic codes, still just neurochemical signatures.
I wonder what humans in 30,000 years are going to be like.
Will they even be human? Will it be Homo sapien? That's the debate, right? That it will be like Homo, like, I don't know. It'll be something technology or cyber. Yeah. We'll be a new organism. Like
almost cyborgist or something like that.
Oh yeah. So on the note of just the economy seemingly collapsing, how would a dipshit like me get into trading magic cards? Would you be like a financial advisor? Would I just give you some money?
I don't know if that is a thing currently, but I was watching. Today I was like, well, I kind of need to refresh on like the whole history of magic and everything if I'm going to talk about it, just because.
Yeah.
You just kind of got to do that. Yeah, so yeah. I forgot all the things. I forgot that. So like, you know, it was Dr. Richard Garfield made the game. He went to University of Pennsylvania or whatever. And it was like the early 90s. And he was just like a strategist. And he was just like, he had made other games before that too. And that was just kind of like his thing. And he was super into Dungeons and Dragons as well. And so he just came up with this game. And it had like all these cards. And he had all his friends in college like play test it. And he'd be like, hey, this card sucks. Don't do that. So and finally, when the card game was done, you know, they went through the whole thing with like different names, all the play tests, and then it finally came out, and it was at like Gen Con in 1993, and he brought like 2.5 million cards, right? And that was limited edition alpha. That's what we call it today. Sold out immediately that day. All 2.5 million cards, right? There was nothing other, because it was the 90s, like all magazines and like that Nerd Kingdom hype on the game. And so then later that year, they did limited edition beta, and it was like 7.5 million cards sold out immediately, right? So then they were like, the same year, like literally, the game's doing so well, they did unlimited, which was like triple that. It was like 30 million cards, right? And within that, there was like, you know, alpha only had 1,100 rares, and then beta had like 3,000 or something. So today, they're just looked at as collectors as like there's such a limited amount of the good cards, and that's kind of what determines the value of the card. Really is supply and demand, you know.
Okay.
It's just a small amount of it, but like you were saying about something being like a financial advisor and invest into it. I mean, me personally, I probably have spent. I mean, what's an average college course? Was it like 12 hours?
12 credit hours? Per course?
Average, yeah.
I think it's like I have no idea, dude. I have no idea.
I don't know either, but I have spent
1,000?
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours just like researching.
Time put into it. I thought you were saying cost of money. Oh, yeah.
No.
Okay, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, hundreds of for a class to ace like an organic chemistry class in college.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would be, 4 or 5 hours a day nonstop for 6 months. So you're looking at what?
Yeah.
180, maybe 2,000 hours to ace a class like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, easily, comparable to like a college course, like an upper level college course, with just like hundreds of hours put into it. Because I kind of started with like a almost zero knowledge base entirely. Like I kind of got into it when I was 10. Just because I was a kid, I was always into like high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, elves, dragons, all that stuff, and all those elements essentially. And
just so you know, when I sit back, it's so I don't end up breathing into the microphone. It's because I'm listening. Some people are like, "You look like you stopped giving a shit." No, when I sit back, it's because I'm gonna stop trying to interrupt, like I'm doing right now, interrupting you. So I'm sitting because now I'm taking the student role. All right.
Oh, good.
So sorry, keep going.
So
yeah,
I got into it because I was like, I would go to Barnes and Noble and I'd be like, "Mom, can you buy me a pack of that?" And I would open it and I'd be like, "Okay, I don't even know why I got that. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm 10." It was a game made for 20-year-olds in the 90s. I was like, so. Fast forward, I'm as an adult, and I was actually dating this girl like a year ago, and she had always been into it. She was like super nerdy, and so like I started going to Phoenix Rising, which is like the local game store, and it is exactly what you imagine. I'm talking neckbeard guys that I mean, there's a sign that says, "Please, if you come here, take a shower."
It says that?
Because they just show up and they're just like, they're super nerdy, like people that live in their mom's basement and they just come there and play Magic every single day of their lives.
Well,
so
I'm above my parents' garage, so I'm not. I can't harp on them.
It's different. You wouldn't mess with. I'm talking about guys that were just like,
just generally
exactly
don't take care.
Think of a cliche.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And so like I'd go there and they would just be all trading and playing. And at first I was like super overwhelmed, and I'm a relatively confident person, and I was like, "Hey, you think I can go play with those guys?"
You think they'll let me?
Dude, it was intimidating, to be honest. And like, so I kind of got back into it and just started buying like modern Magic and like saw that there was value. And then I was slowly being like, as I was like looking at the value of the cards I just got, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's cards that are, like the Black Lotus, which is the most expensive card in Magic. And I was like, the last time the highest graded alpha Black Lotus traded was like almost $500,000. And I was like,
Jesus
I was like,
Christ.
What is this?
What does it do? Is it valuable in the game, or is it just the collector status of it?
So essentially where we are now is that card has breached into a realm of like, that one stamp where it's like inverted Jennies or something. It was like $1 million stamp.
Like a rare coin or something where it's like
it's
on both sides.
It's in the realm of like a signed baseball by like Sammy Sosa or like,
Babe Ruth.
The ball that Mark McGwire hit to beat the home run.
Okay. All right.
Kind of like that.
It's going into like legendary realm.
Yeah. So there is actually, in fact, that's why I kind of brought up the print runs of like Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited, is because in Alpha, there was only 2.5 million cards, and Black Lotus is a rare, and there was only ever 1,100 of each rare printed. So from there, we can kind of determine that, what if I had gotten one of those and I would have just sold it or thrown, like my mom would have given it away. And so a lot of them are destroyed or just missing. So there's about 500 left, people say. And of that, there's probably only about 100 gradable copies. And of that 100 gradable copies, there's actually only one Alpha Black Lotus graded a 10. And that was the one that sold. So then it's like, there's collectors that are like, all right, I'm Jeff Bezos. I just started collecting stuff randomly, or Elon Musk or whoever it may be. And they're like, oh, well, there's only one. That seems like a good thing to invest in, because that will always have value and it will continue every single year being the only one of something so coveted. So the game really has reached just a new level of collecting. That, like this guy, Alpha Investments.
Yeah.
Bought his shirt. His name is Rudy. I watch him every single day, and he went to college. He was a stockbroker on Wall Street, like full blown. 2008 hit. Obviously, he lost his job.
Yeah.
It was the recession, and so he just like refound his love for Magic, and was like, "Holy crap! There's a full blown realm and like market and everything that's so similar to stocks." That to him it just made sense, and now he is like the most successful, like high level multimillionaire with probably like tens of millions of dollars of product that he's just saving for a rainy day.
Jesus Christ.
Investing in. It's just crazy, dude.
Jesus. Now, how many you said Magic. I remember you said the other day, right? But they're still
Mhm.
coming out, right? There's still new cards. They're still.
Yeah, they actually just came out with a new set the other day. I don't even bother.
It's not even worth touching because it's so new and abundant.
So what happened was, like, Dr. Rich Garfield made the game, and it was his for a while. I mean, it set up the foundation for, like, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mhm.
It was the first collectible trading card game that ever existed. So, and it was funny because as I was watching this one video, refreshing my memory, it was like they were bringing up all the other card games that had come out, and it seemed like anything that was a successful franchise at one point had a trading card game. Yeah. Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, I'm talking everything.
Yeah.
So it laid the foundation for that. So he had it for about 10 years, and then he inevitably sold it to Wizards of the Coast. And they had Dungeons and Dragons. And so from there, they had it for a while, and they just recently sold to Hasbro. Oh, which is,
yeah.
So now Hasbro owns it, and the whole dynamic has changed a lot. And the game is still fun, but for me, like, as someone who's sort of in it for the collectability, and for me, it's a little bit nostalgic, sure. And it's just nice to have something that not everybody has,
sure. Yeah.
That has intrinsic value. Like, I mean, it's cardboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
This has no more value than this other piece of cardboard that is worth a penny.
Yeah.
One is worth $700. You know what I mean?
Which one is that? Show me that.
Tropical Island.
Hold on, I'm trying to, because I got my image and I keep blocking you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So explain that to me.
So this is kind of like the blue chip stocks of Magic. It's called a dual land. So, like, when you play Magic, like I explained the other day, the way you play is you have to have a mana base to play the cards. So, for instance, like Fast Bond right here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it, but up here it has the little green symbol.
Yeah. So
you need one green mana to be able to play this card. So the reason these dual lands are so good is because they were last printed in 1994, and they're the strongest lands in the game, where basically I can use this card to play either blue or green.
Okay.
At my discretion. So all the other cards, it's like you can use 2 mana, but it's like, oh, it does 2 damage to you, or it comes into play and you can't use it right away. You have to wait a turn. So these are like the strongest lands in the game. So they're always sought after. But this is like, remember how I said limited edition alpha, limited edition beta, and unlimited all came out in 1 year because it was so successful. So unlimited is the last time that they printed the Power 9. Right. So the Power 9 is the 9 strongest cards in the game, which is Black Lotus, like I mentioned, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and then there's 5 Mox Jets or Mox boxes. It's like Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, Pearl, and Jet. So that's 8. Time Twister. So it's 9, just 9 strongest cards in the game. They were only ever printed in Alpha, Beta, Unlimited.
Okay.
So they're sort of like the most coveted, strongest cards in the entire game.
Okay. Can you give me like a quick walkthrough? Because whoever's listening to this that does know Magic I don't want them to beat their head on the ground. Can you give me a quick walkthrough? Because you started the other day and I cut you off at work and I was like, fuck off, we're doing an episode.
I know, it's so funny because I was like trying to bring it up. You're like, no, shh.
And then I have you on and I fucking throw UFOs down your throat for an hour. That's just I'm an asshole. I'm an idiot. But yeah, you're explaining that you can have like your own setup, so it's obviously not like Texas Hold'em where you go in and you can't go in and be like, oh, I got my royal flush with me, right?
Yeah, you can't go in and you're like, oh, I'm just a millionaire and I have every best card.
Yeah, you can't do that. But
I play them all.
But give me a quick run through on just like what Magic, like how to play it, just quick, just so I can. So have,
essentially, there's a lot of different formats, but if you were just to play like standard, essentially you would just be using like the sets of Magic that are in standard rotation right now, right? So that every year sets rotate out because they make new sets, right? So you would only be able to use those cards from that certain set. It's usually about 5 or 6 in standard. You'd make the best deck you possibly could. Generally it's about 60 cards. You have like 40 cards and then 20 lands on average. I'm not a professional Magic card player, obviously. But then, all you need is another person to play with. And then the reason it's so popular and has gone and done so well is like, just like you mentioned with Texas Hold'em, there is chance. I mean, what if you don't draw the perfect set of cards in certain order that you need and you get beat by the other guy? So it makes it really interesting to watch. Like, you know, there's pretty big pre-COVID, there's pretty big like circuits. The best part is like you don't have to like be anybody special. You just have to show up to these tournaments and just win.
Yeah.
And you win, then you get on tour, and then you go through play the professional tour, and then you just. I mean, there's guys that it's like their first time on tour and they win, and then there's like, oh, you're like the best Magic card player in the world.
What is like the basic? What is like the basic outline of the game? Like you started saying it the other day. Like,
yeah,
it's
so
like mana.
essentially you have when you start, you know, you draw 7 cards. Everybody draws 7 cards. You can play 1 land each turn, right? So if like I had 7 cards right here, and you know my first turn, I'm gonna play the dual land, obviously. So then, you know, I can actually, this is one of the best cards, so I could actually tap it for green, play Fast Bond, which lets me put as many lands into play as I want each turn, which is strong.
Okay.
You know, I have like 4 lands in my hand. I'm like, boom, 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 now I have 5 mana, and I'm like, that's a good combo. But it does 1 damage to you for every land beyond the first that you play in a single turn. So, like, it does have a negative drawback. So essentially, it's just a turn-based strategy game. And the way to win is you each start off with 20 life. So, like how it said, it does 1 damage to me. Like, what if I played 5 lands? Now I only have 15 life. And essentially, first person to 0 loses,
okay.
right? So, I mean, the basis of it is simple. However, like, each card has different, sometimes relatively complicated things that it does. And they just, you know, then that's when it turns into strategy, and you have to be like, okay, like all my cards do this thing, and I need this one and this one and this one, and I can do combos, and it's just, I mean, it's pretty in depth, man. It gets pretty hardcore.
It starts, turning into this multifaceted, kind of.
It really is at a core. It's a strategy game, 100%.
Yeah, and it's. Now, is there any just like decapitation move like a blitzkrieg? Is there any like, you know, like going in for that knockout in the first 4 seconds? Is there any way of that?
Yeah, so like that's where Black Lotus comes in, because basically what that card does is it lets you play it for free. It doesn't cost any mana, and you sacrifice it to get 3 mana. So then you can it's basically 3 free mana, which is unheard of in the game, because that's essentially, if you were to use that in terms of playing lands like a normal game, it's 3 turns.
Yeah.
Just fast forward 3 turns, basically. And then there are a lot of cards that are like, they cost a lot of mana, but they do a lot of damage. And you could, essentially, there's a lot of combos that let you first turn win with Black Lotus.
Jesus.
That's why it's banned in every format.
Wait, it's banned?
Yeah, you can't play with it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's too good. It's the best card.
They had to take it away?
They just took it off, yeah. So that kind of leads me into the reason there is such collectability and such a strong market for what I invest in. I mostly invest in what we call the reserve list, which was a promise all of a sudden, because, you know, they were being so successful, and they even tried to saturate the market with these really strong cards by doing multiple print runs, and it just didn't work. The game was so successful. So in efforts to sort of combat, because they messed up. They printed this thing after their first expansion set called Arabian Nights. They printed something called Chronicles, and it didn't introduce any new cards at all. So they just printed cards randomly from like the first 4 editions of the game and the first couple expansion sets, and they printed it into oblivion. Like, in their head, they were just printing money. You know, they didn't even care. And so a lot of people were like, are they just going to do that with every single card? Like, what, you know? So people were like, they got a bad taste in their mouth after they printed Chronicles. Because, like, I have a ton of Chronicles up in my closet. I could burn it. I could use it for freaking...
Yeah. It's worthless.
It doesn't matter at all. Throw it in the fireplace.
Yeah.
You know, no value. There's millions of copies out there of it. So then they came out with what they called the reserve list, which was essentially just a promise printed in a magazine that said, we are going to select a number of cards and we won't reprint them ever again. So obviously Black Lotus was on there. a lot of the really strong cards from Alpha Beta Unlimited were on there. Like, for instance, most of the cards that I invest in are on the reserve list. So, like, Wheel of Fortune is on there.
Okay.
Be cool. So they only printed this 4 times ever. And so this is like a $400-something card. But if I had it in beta, it would be like $1,200. If I had it in alpha, it'd be like $3,000.
Jesus
you know,
Christ.
just because there's less and less of them. It's the same card, but that's when you get into that realm of collectability because...
As opposed to playability.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Doesn't make it any better if it's alpha for playing.
So reserve list, the funny thing about it is pretty much every single person at Wizards of the Coast and or Hasbro, whatever you want to call it now, the guy who came up with the idea, he was quoted saying, if you could go back in time and not do it, would you do it? And he said, in a heartbeat, right? Because in their mind, they're a company, and imagine how much money they would make if they reprinted Black Lotus.
Yeah.
In a special set that they could sell for a premium with the hopes of you might get a Black Lotus.
Yeah, but I feel like that would ruin.
Yeah.
That would ruin so much authenticity, right?
Yeah. So there was just a video by one of the most notorious guys in Magic. His channel is called Tolarian Academy, and he essentially went into why the reserve list is bad, why removing it wouldn't take away from the value of certain cards, right? Like the Alpha Black Lotus or whatever it may be. And he used some good examples. I actually have an example here just because I thought about it. So like the Sheevan Dragon from Unlimited.
Okay.
Right? Great card, iconic. They reprint it almost every single year. This is not on the reserve list at all. They reprint it almost every year. They gave it away for free one year in a welcome deck. Like if you just started playing Magic, it was in there. It's like Sheevan Dragon. Different art. But that version of it is like $175. And the alpha version of it is like $3,000. But it's not on the reserve list. So he just used all these examples. In a lot of ways, it would be good to remove it just because then they could reprint cards and it would, they want to, at the end of the day, they want to up their player base and they want to up sales.
Yeah.
Because it's a company.
Yeah.
So it would do that, but in a lot of ways, we all just refer to it. It was like a promissory estoppel, whereas like it wasn't a legal contract, but it was a company making a promise, and they would definitely get sued by people.
Yeah. Because
essentially, a lot of people say, all right, so if they reprint, whatever, like the dual lands, at the time my card was worth $600, $700. They reprint it and now it's only worth $200. Essentially, I could get $500 from them.
Yeah.
Lost value.
But do you think you'd be able to in like court?
I think it would take a long time, but just thinking of this guy, Rudy, his only investments are in reserve list cards, and the amount of money he would probably lose is like, can't even imagine.
But do they have a legal obligation to, or is that just on Rudy? Like, you should have invested in gold as well.
Yeah.
Like, is that on him, right?
Sorry, bro.
Because if I invest in all Coca-Cola or Amazon, and then Bezos shuts it down and gets accused of, I don't even want to make false accusations against him, he's too rich. But whatever, right? Just false shit. And let's just say Amazon tanks. If I come out and say, well, I only had Amazon investments, 99.999% of people are going to go, sucks to suck, right?
Yeah. So I think that's a little bit different just because of, remember that term promissory estoppel I said,
Sure.
is like, it wasn't a full-blown legal contract saying that they weren't going to reprint cards, and it would hold up in court.
You think so?
That they're going to be like, that holds up in court.
I don't know, man. It's
hard. It would be hard to say.
Yeah. I'm not a lawyer and I don't play
like,
Magic, so I don't know why I'm making a defensive stand right now. I'm like, no.
Well, because it's easy to wrap your head around if you're in the markets at all. If you're in the stock market or if you do trade, if you do e-commerce, anything like that, it's super easy to wrap your head around. They have intrinsic value based on the market in the game, and it fluctuates.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell what it does, but it's easy to read that it does fluctuate. So, like you said, you don't want to make any false accusations, but what if Jeff Bezos was like, he buys Coke, and he's like, I'm not going to get rid of Coke. And then he does. It's like, people bought all these stocks and
Okay.
codes. They're like, it's not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And they're like,
okay, yeah, false advertising. Yeah, there might be something like the FTC or something. It would be like, right? Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
It is. It's promissory estoppel. That's what it is.
Okay, I could see that then.
That's the legal term.
Do you think? Have you ever heard of that argument about like? You ever seen how like I don't know which company it is, Ubisoft or EA? I don't know if EA is whoever.
One of those big ones, Activision, probably.
Yeah, it's but it's the downgrading of games. So they'll reveal, like for instance, the game I'm playing right now again. It's a great game. I play games and listen to audiobooks. So I love just having long con, kind of collect free sandbox games. You got to go collect all the whatevers to get the whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the grind, right?
Oh, trust me. I played World of Warcraft for like 8 years.
Okay, yeah. It's something that I love to put on, and that's how I listen to audiobooks. Point being is I've seen videos on YouTube where we'll have the game at whatever fucking gaming convention or commercial, whatever, here it is.
Yeah.
And then they'll go back and do the actual
E3.
Yeah, there we go. I'm fucking having a stroke today. But then they'll go in and do the actual gameplay. Someone will do it. And it will be the gameplay that they showed advertising and then the gameplay in the actual thing. And it's clearly downgraded. And it's downgraded so that more, so that it will look the same on 360 as it will as on Xbox One, right? But it's also to broaden the market. They don't want to just show this awesome game to people with crazy gaming rigs, right? Because they want to get everyone like me. I'm a console plebeian, right? I don't have a gaming PC pleb. Yeah, I'm a peasant. I'm a casual. But is that like? Yeah, it's kind of like someone said that there was an argument to say that that's false advertising. Like it could, because what if you pre-order the game? So to bring it back to what you're saying, what if there are realistic market shifts? Like pre-order the game, okay, I'm moving from PlayStation to Xbox because I want this game, I love it, 60 FPS, 4K, ray tracing, then it comes out, and it's, so okay, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Now,
it's weird with this example, with Magic the Gathering and everything, because they aren't supposed to give a shit about the secondary market.
Yeah.
Come out with something, people play it and buy it. That's it.
Yeah.
But they do make pretty. It's very obvious they make decisions based on what the second market's going to do. So like,
how do you not?
Art is skyrocketing price because it's so good, and they haven't reprinted it in like 15 years, and it's not on the reserve list or anything. They've just gone through this whole thing in 2020 where they reprinted all these cards that were reaching that like $80, $100, $150 like range, and it's like, I mean, not everybody has. There's some decks out there that are competitive that cost like $7,000, $8,000 to build.
Yeah,
have to have the physical card to play. If you want to go play in a tournament, you have to have the card, and it has to be legit. It can't be a fake card. That's the thing. So there's these decks that, I mean, as the cards become harder and harder to find, people can't play. The player base goes down, which isn't good for them. So it's just weird because, essentially they want to make money at the end of the day. They want to sell products, but in the end, if they upset the world of us as like freaking,
yeah.
Nobody plays anymore.
that's a weird, that's a weird catch, right? Because it is your company. You want more people to play, so you're gonna print cards because you want to increase your base.
Yeah,
but there's this thriving secondary market, right? So it's
thriving.
It'd be like if you made artificial diamonds for like cutting tools, like industrial tools, and then you found out that some people are somehow removing them, and this is going into just bro science. But if you could somehow melt them down and make big diamonds, which you need the center of the earth to do that, but let's just pretend. And you're building power tools. I mean, how much of you is going to be like, we just supply power tools to workers, and how much he's going to be like, yo, this $400 drill is selling for $17,000 on the trading market. How do you not have just your human flaws, and not even flaws, just basic? You need money. You get money to support your family, and here you are looking at this going. So, do you think there's like insider trading?
I don't think there's insider trading, but to me, it kind of reminds me of like I don't know if you've ever talked to anyone about like, the guys that buy like rare shoes and they like flip.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, like Adidas releases them or Nike releases them and they like, hey, look, this is going to be limited and we might charge you a little bit on top of that because they probably had to pay for the, let's say they put Post Malone or whoever on it, they kind of have to like pay him.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit higher retail, but then they go on the secondary market and they're like, five. I actually I got into it. I had 3 pairs of shoes. One of them was $1,600. One of them was $800. Another one was like $700. It was like $3,000 in shoes.
Were these investments?
In my closet, and I was like, "What am I doing?"
Were these investments, or were you wearing them?
So I wore one pair.
Oh, God damn it!
Pair, like a baller, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta go out. Yeah, right. You gotta.
But
go
I
out.
walked around. I was like, I know they're $800,
But does anybody else?
At the end of the day, I was kind of like, this is stupid. This isn't for me. And it was actually good. I sold them because the one pair, the $15 pair, like the whole market of those shoes crashed pretty hard, dude. And so I would have lost a lot of money on that. But I don't know. You want to know the weirdest thing about Magic to me?
What?
The way they sell their product. It makes no sense in a retail standpoint. So Papa Hasbro, as we call them.
Papa Hasbro, all right.
They rent or I don't know what they do, but all these printing companies, right? And these printing companies, they make the cards they put in orders for like, let's say 3,000 booster boxes, right? And it's X amount of dollars. So then Papa Hasbro now houses all these cards, and then they have to have middlemen distribution companies, as like Maryland with alcohol, distribution companies distribute them to retail stores. So it's the same thing. It's like really regulated and regimented. So like, as if you were to own a local game store, you would have to buy it from a middleman distribution company. You don't buy anything from Hasbro at all. So they basically control how much you can buy, how often you can buy it. But the another strange thing is that the local game store model as a business is horrible, dude.
Why?
I would say like 50% in the last year of local game stores all went out of business. You have way too much overhead. Basically, they're run by people that are like, I love board games, I love cards, I love Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons, and they open a storefront, and then all of a sudden they're $100,000 in debt with all this overhead. And one guy comes in, doesn't buy anything. They buy a Monster Energy drink and play Magic all night, and that's it. And they don't buy anything. It is the worst business model, but that is the only way to get their product to them on the market is these local game stores. It's so weird, dude.
That's
I don't
brutal.
know how they make money.
That's brutal, dude. Yeah.
It would be like us buying liquor from a distribution company, having no intent to pay them back because none of the liquor sells.
Yeah.
And just sit there. And then we go out of business.
Yeah. It'd be like,
and then the company buys it back from you at a loss. It's so weird, dude.
It'd be like if only the bar was open at the liquor store, and we have like $1 million of product around them, but they're only buying, but they're just buying pitchers of natty. Yeah, they're just buying pitchers of natties. Because
that's like the average person. They go in,
pitcher and natty. Yeah, it's that.
That was when I was going to the Phoenix Rising in Salisbury. It'd be like 12 dudes in there. Nobody buys anything, and they just sit there in the back and play Magic all night. And you got like 2 guys coming in and buying comics. I mean, it's the comic book store is what it is. Yeah. It's the LGS, got comics, all that. And I would come in and just like buy like 3 packs of Magic, and I'm like, how the hell are these guys staying open? Like, where are you guys making any money, dude? And the counter, they have alphabetized Magic cards, and they probably have like $300,000 of Magic cards just to sell to people that are trying to make decks.
Jesus.
It's so strange.
But it is strange because I feel like just in general, brick and mortar stores for anything other than like staples. I don't mean the company staples. I mean like food, water, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's all kind of going out, right? Because now if you can just go buy on Amazon, why would you run a store with inventory?
Yeah.
Why would you sit there and hope someone buys these bananas before they go bad? Right?
And in a lot of these stores too, like Rudy, he has a storefront physically in Florida. but also he does 90% of his business on eBay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're not inventorying your cards that you have online and selling them online to people, like you're going up. Like I almost think Phoenix Rising might have gone up. They might have gone under over the 2020, man. I mean, I love those guys over there, but like their business model makes no sense to me because they don't have any online inventory at all. They basically just pray for people to come in and buy single cards.
And then the pandemic comes, and now people can't go anywhere. Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, that's insane.
But it used to be a good business model. So it is sort of the same way with like just small businesses and in general with e-commerce. They're all kind of getting phased out because in a lot of ways it doesn't make sense to
none of it makes sense. Why would you
pay a higher premium just because it's the physical?
Yeah, paying someone to stand behind the cashier or the cash register. You gotta have the lights on. You're paying insurance on the property, or you can just have Amazon drop it at your front door, right? I almost think coming up, I almost think that like liquor stores are going to be the only places where that and groceries, gas are going to be like the only things you like literally have to go out and get. Yeah, I would say like pharmacies, right? Maybe.
Yeah, like we can come up with couple different things.
Couple of exceptions.
We're talking state regulated things, or at least federally regulated things.
And you know they would come together to make sure that no one sells out and goes to Amazon, right? It would be like a racket. You'd be like, no one fucking make a liquor deal with Amazon. Because if you make it wrong, it would turn into a fucking organized crime, dude.
Then it would literally be the United States of Amazon. I mean, slowly
but surely, man. I mean, what? I gotta piss again. Forrest, can you keep going for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm good. Let me. I want to pee too, though.
All right, piss break, everybody. Piss break. Fast forward 30 seconds, 40 seconds. I don't know. Do whatever you want, people.
I win. I'm the fastest peer in the West. Fastest peer in the West. Feels so bad for my girlfriend. She's upstairs, stuck with my dog, my giant German Shepherd. You can hear him upstairs. Oh man, he is the most needy damn dog. Let's see, how much money am I holding in my hands? Between 4, 6, 9 cards. All right, so 300, 180, 780. This is cheap. $12, $12.80, 18. Damn, it's like $2,000 in cards in my hand. It's like 9 cards.
Hold on, walk me through those.
Let's see.
You good to go to like 4?
What'd you say?
You good to go to 4?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That's for every time because that's when Lexi gets off.
Perfect.
So. All right, so I don't think I've shown you one of these yet, but like basically as Magic, you see how it's foiled.
Yeah.
So this was actually from the
holographic.
This was from the second set that they ever did foiling on. And a lot of people think that in like trading cards, it's like they did the best foiling on these cards. See how like the picture isn't actually foiled?
Yeah.
So like normally non-foil, this card's only like $50, but this is like $350 right here. Just because it's in foil. Because essentially you would buy a booster box of 36 packs and you would only be guaranteed 1 foil rare in those packs.
I remember my little brother and I getting a pack. Convinced my mom to buy a pack of Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
We were like 3rd grade in New Hampshire. We went to a gas station. and she finally, she would, never get stupid purchases, right? Finally, she was like, fine, like, you can get it, like, special night. And we got it, and there was like 10 cards in the pack. And I remember we got a holographic Charizard. And I just remember we were just screaming, Charizard! And my mom, I remember we were driving home, and my mom was like, and because we were just screaming.
Like, freaking out.
Yeah. And neither of us knew how to play Pokemon, but we knew.
You knew Charizard?
We knew Charizard, yeah. Like, Charizard! We were just screaming.
So, like, I know so much about, like, collecting cards that, like, it was most likely, unless it wasn't one of the first 3 sets, like basically with Magic, if it wasn't like first edition base set or like unlimited base set or like Shadowless, I mean, an unlimited edition holographic Charizard is like $5,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, the base set first edition holographic Charizard is the most expensive. Okay, second most expensive. It's the most expensive English Pokemon card in the world. There's like one perfect 10, and I think it's valued over like almost $200,000.
Fuck,
it's disgusting, dude. We both probably had these cards.
We had one. This was like late '99, early 2000.
Yeah, it was probably it was definitely a base set iteration.
Fuck.
Yeah, because like that was like '99 was the first edition of English Pokemon card.
So I mean, I moved to Georgia in summer 2001. This was before that, so. It was either summer 2000 or summer 99. Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite cards. I don't know why. I love it, dude. It's so unbelievably rare. Over time, that's going to get so much traction because it's playable. That's playable, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so I showed you the Tropical Island Wheel of Fortune.
What are the black ones? What are the black ones? Why are some of them black? The back.
I just didn't feel like pulling them out of the sleeve because they.
Okay. All right.
So this one's like got double sleeved on it. So this is from the first. I don't know if the scheme is going to come through.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
a little like scimitar. So that's the first expansion set. So before that, it was all the same exact cards, right? Alphabet Unlimited, same 302 cards, right? And then Arabian Nights came out. And it was like the first, like every card was different. They're all brand new cards, and it was all like. As you can see, it was all kind of like Middle Eastern style, kind of. So a lot of cards from there just got banned too because of racial sensitivity. Actually, they had a card called Jihad. They had another card called Stone Throwing Devils, right? Which apparently is a derogatory term against either Pakistani people or.
I've never even heard it.
That's like a real thing that
over there. It's like a slur.
Yeah. So they had another one. Oh my God, the worst one. The worst one was Invoke Prejudice, and it had a guy with like a sickle, and he had a fucking KKK thing on.
Jesus Christ.
And it was called Invoke Prejudice. So interesting happened after all these cards got banned. They all skyrocketed down.
Of course, as with everything that gets banned.
Dude, I'm not even kidding. Like this one card, it was called like Pradish Gypsies or something. You know, shit talking gypsies for some reason in these on Magic cards. You know, it went from like being worth nothing, basically, unless you were a set collector and you just were like, oh, I gotta buy one, like $2, to like trading on the market for like $40.
Jesus Christ!
And people were buying them all day.
Yeah.
That Prejudice card was a playable card from Legends, I believe. And it went from like $200 to $300. You're selling for like double that now, $500-$600. And they banned it in the sense of Wizards of the Coast doesn't even acknowledge that it was a card that ever existed. They took it off their websites. Almost every market page took it off their database. Like it's gone.
They're just going full 1984. They just don't acknowledge it.
They just don't acknowledge it. They're just like, never.
That's not.
So Arabian Nights first.
Is that one banned?
This one is not banned. This is my boy. I feel like I kind of look like him a little bit.
You could pull
Alec
it off.
Cairo.
You could pull it off.
So that's the first expansion set, and I pulled these two out specifically just to show, like, sort of like, you know, little wins for me. I bought this card for like maybe $150. It's like $350 now. And then this one, I just invested in certain cards that just
gut feeling
seemed like the right thing to do based on my like limited knowledge.
Okay.
I bought this for like $35, and then now it is being traded 100% for like $180 to $200.
Jesus Christ.
I'll find them.
So, I wonder, is it in your interest to maybe like conjure up like a pseudo cancel culture and get cards canceled that you have?
Maybe. It probably would. Like, let's see if we can come up with one.
I bet you could. That Arabian guy, I bet you absolutely could get that banned, dude.
Ali from Cairo, like, that looks like my uncle. He was nuts. You know.
Oh yeah, no. You just write some very angry anonymous letters about, you know, racial insensitivity or something. I bet you could get it banned.
So they also had another card that was called, and they had printed it a couple times, called Crusade, right? So right there, you're sort of like, okay, whatever. The picture was a bunch of white people just like leading charge on Crusade. Damn, there was another one that was really bad. I don't know. That's the 90s, dude. They were thinking about it.
They didn't give a fuck.
I almost want to look up what they were. But...
Yeah, it's... What's... How long are you going to hold on to those cards? Is there like a... I mean, do you want to hold on to them forever? Is there like a... Do you believe they're going to peak? Like, you got to play the shifting sands?
Yeah. So it's strange. Like, remember that site I showed you where you could see all the market noise, see how prices were? There was like a big boom in 2017 where a bunch of reserve list cards just skyrocketed, like doubled, tripled in value. So naturally, it led to a lot of people selling, you know, and kind of leveled out the prices, but they were higher than they were before. And then we hit, you know, the 2020 pandemic, and these cards were actually already declining from that high peak. And then when that happened, I mean, it was like sell, cardboard's worthless, like, you know, the end of the world, like dumpster fire 2020. And that's when I invested like $5,000. And I definitely, just on that single investment, easily, I mean, I have already made my return on investment, and now I have like, you know, $10,000-$12,000 worth of cards. So I was just buying. People were so negative. The market was crazy. It was saturated. The prices were every day. It was like $30 less for certain things, and I just kind of latched, because you can't buy everything. So I sort of like latched on to specific cards, and, you know, I did in a lot of ways get full-blown lucky, because a lot of cards that I bought, they kind of stayed stagnant or gone up maybe like 10% from the crash. But I mean, a lot of cards, I sold a couple, like those cards I told you I just got paid for, like $600 after fees. I mean, I probably only paid like $250 for those, you know. And I always sold them because I'm going on vacation.
Just need some
extra cash.
Well, now, what is like the guaranteed? Is there like an in-place system? Because I mean, how does someone know they pay you and then you just vanish and they never get the card? Like, what's the guarantee?
So the platform I use, and
seller
like
credit,
eBay's like this, like you can get ripped off on eBay, but you basically have to either buy from or sell to an account that has like no sales or buys on it, where it's like they basically make an account just to buy something, have you send it to them, and then they just like vanish. You know, they just delete their account because they don't care. But on Mercari, there's a placement where they hold the funds until they receive the product, and then they have to like rate you, you know. And then Mercari releases the funds. So I've actually bought quite a few really, really expensive fake cards and got my money back right away.
That's cool. Yeah, I was going to ask about plagiarism or
rampant, dude. It is
really counterfeits.
Imagine you fake a Black Lotus.
Well, that's immediately,
and you catch somebody in that, you know, when you see something like, oh my God, I can make so much money, and your high level thinking shuts down. Going to caveman mode. You're like, money.
Money.
You're like, it's too good to be true, but you don't even want to think that. It's like when you think you're gonna. It's like people addicted to the lottery.
I got it. This is it. This is the day. I got it.
I gotta keep buying. I'm never gonna win if I don't keep buying. So I watched a video of this one guy. He's high level like vintage magic investor, and his friend bought like an $8,000 unlimited Black Lotus, which is like right now it's probably the cheapest you could buy one. It's fake. And the guy who sold to him just disappeared off the planet, face of the earth. So he was just totally, dude, he was out $8,000.
Just fucked 8,000.
Yeah, fucked 8,000.
Oh,
So what happened was,
you're gonna fuck the wrong person.
so easy to do, but essentially the guy posted a picture of a real Black Lotus, totally legitimate. Because I mean, if you don't know what you're looking at, it's hard to tell because there's so many variances that are natural, and it's like, but when you have seen a fake card and you look at a real card, it's night and day. So he took a picture of a real card, a real Black Lotus, and he just sent him a fake one. You know, and with eBay, you can't make a return, like you can't make like a refund, whatever, after 7 days from the purchase. So like the guy got the funds and just deleted his account, just totally like probably had fake info on the entire thing, you know. Got the money, took it out, deleted, closed the bank. I mean, an $8,000 con, you know?
That's going to be a John Wick movie. He's going to sell the wrong card to the wrong person. Yeah. Well, you know the Koch Brothers? Koch? I think one of them died recently, but they're like in their 80s, billionaire brothers. I mean, they're almost like cartoonish evil figures, right? Old, rich, white guys buying politicians. They're just, you know, great, just fucking, they're almost too hilarious to be true. And I mean that in like in a negative way. But I was watching this documentary on like fake wine, and like, and this guy got and one of the counterfeit bottles of like what was supposed to be Thomas Jefferson's or something. Well, it got sold to that Charles Koch.
Oh shit.
And that wasn't good because he didn't like being made a fool, and this guy's worth like $40 billion. So I mean, this guy ended up employing like these like ex-CIA guys. Well, no, they hunted him down. The guy got swatted. He was in jail.
Damn.
All of his shit seized. Eventually, you're gonna sell to the wrong guy. You're gonna sell Black Lotus to be for all you know, fucking Mark Zuckerberg's got an alter ego where he loves trading magic, but he doesn't give it away who he is because people would charge him a lot. Someone's gonna sell Mark Zuckerberg a fake Black Lotus, and he's gonna get some politicians to lend him the army.
I'm glad you brought that up because that little documentary I was watching, it was about
liars. Was it
about the Black Lotus?
Yeah.
And it was just on YouTube. Like this guy made it probably for college or something, and he just went into the whole world of like high end collectibles, and I mean like the whole like inverted Jennies, like one of this nice pristine, sold for $1.2 million. Just stamp.
Jesus.
There was another stamp. I think it was like called the Magenta, and it was like it's deemed the most expensive thing by weight because it was $9.2, and it's like this big.
9.2 million.
Card that was like it was this baseball card. It's like the T206. I can't remember what it is, but it's like the most coveted, rare, expensive. It's like a baseball card from like the 50s out of a newspaper or something. It's like so crazy.
Yeah, right.
And it kept getting traded, and this one guy bought it for like 50 grand, and he trimmed the edges to make it look good, and someone noticed, and he got caught and went to jail for 20 months. Like a year and a half. He's like multi-millionaire who like forged, he kind of like made the card look a little better by trimming off the dirty parts of the card, and someone noticed and he got caught, and he was like, it was like massive fraud because he sold it for like $1 million.
And made it look more pristine than
so it was like insane fraud just for that.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And the funny thing too is it was showing like who buys these things, and it was like owners of football and baseball teams, and like, you know, high level entrepreneurs and investors. Like they just see these things as like opportunities to make money in the long term because it's just
or childhood passions that now they've got the money to go for, right?
Yeah, like with Rudy, I mean, he was just childhood passion. He had played, he is a player, and he just saw the opportunity to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna walk away from Wall Street as a stockbroker, licensed stockbroker, and just invest in this because in a lot of ways, I mean, you don't pay taxes on it.
Yeah,
like,
that's insane. Yeah,
government doesn't have their hands in it.
I mean, not yet. Knock on wood. I mean, but dude, Jeff Bezos was like he was a fucking space nerd growing up, and as he got his billions, he started just collecting Apollo artifacts. But he talks about, or in the book Space Barons, like an interview with him, he talks about like not having enough money. He remembers back in the 90s, he'd be at an auction and someone would outbid him, and he'd be like, God damn it! But now Then he but then he contracted a ship with a full crew, and they went out and actually pulled up one of the original Saturn V engines from the ocean floor. And he had the money to just fucking, I don't need to go to auctions. He's like, I create the shit that people auction now.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, so it might just not be, you know, it might not be just assets. It might be someone that just has the money to just go for their childhood dream, can do whatever they want, and someone's gonna sell them a fake Black Lotus.
Yep.
And Bezos is gonna fucking hire some mercenaries.
What's interesting to me too about the Black Lotus, especially the Alpha one. Last time it was traded and sold, it was like $400,000, right? Which, for something as rare as that, it's not that high, and people are always like, I guarantee for a fact that was probably one of the best investments whoever bought it ever had, because that card will reach a level where he can now set his price, right? So he has history of, it was at one point worth $400,000 because I paid it, right?
Yeah.
So I guarantee he could probably sell it today. Maybe not with the market. I guarantee he could sell it for $1 million. I mean,
what about a year from now? Say the pandemic ends. There's no civil war. Next summer.
That's a big if.
That's a big if. That's a bull move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. But it's next summer. So let's just say things go to, or whatever. Just don't even do what if. Let's just go December 2019. How much is it worth?
December 2019, honestly, it probably would have only been worth like $600,000 because the market was.
Yeah.
And going into 2020, but like best case scenario, in 5 years, that card is easily sold for $1 million. 20 years down the road, it's still the only one. It will always be the only one. It's something so rare and limited and like nostalgic. I mean, there's like 30 million people that play Magic. Currently. Yeah. It's big. Yeah. It's a big thing.
It's not a fad.
I mean, that thing will be one of those things that's in a museum. And it's like,
it's
100%, like no question.
Yeah, and it's the only one that has, it's the only one that has it's a perfect 10, right?
Perfect 10, yeah.
So what's perfect 10? Just quality, just like it's not bent, it's not.
Yeah, so I don't think it's gonna come through on camera, but basically what happens was, nobody knew that it was going to be something so collectible and investable. So like kids played with them, you know?
Yeah.
And the grease and you know, got it on the surface. It's cardboard, it's scratchy.
Yeah.
Ding the corners. So like essentially it would have had to have been someone that bought it, got it,
and just got put away. They just didn't need
like those people that bought, you know,
Beanie Babies or something.
90s. Yeah, and they just left it in the box.
They just fucking left it and threw it in.
And now there's only 5 left in a box because it's like, why the fuck do you leave that toy in a box?
Did you ever watch Cat Dog? Do you remember that show on Nickelodeon?
Yeah.
My little brother texted me the other day. He's like, "You remember Cat Dog?" And I don't know why it's in my head now. But there was like an episode back in this was like 2000. But it was they get into trading something. I think there was kind of like a parody about like Beanie Babies. But eventually they go into like one of the guys has this like, it's almost like a nuclear vault. It goes down and it has like, there's no lighting, it's all air conditioned, filtered air, and he has them all behind like a plastic shield, and it's like you can't even go in there. It's like a robot arm goes in and pulls out the box you want, and it's so that's the only 10.
It's the only one of an alpha. There's only one. I mean,
it's the only 10 of an alpha.
There's only one. Not only is people playing with them, they're just, half of them got destroyed right off the bat just because of like, you know, like
life.
It was just life, dude. So print quality, you know, the printers aren't perfect either. So like there was roller marks on them. A lot of them were like super off-centered, which will get you a 10 because now it's the centering isn't perfect. So
that'd be a plus though, because if that was a manufacturer's defect, well, normally manufacturer's defects, that will normally up the value though, like coins.
Yes,
double printed coins.
There's a very heavy premium on like super gnarly like manufactured defects.
Like a double head or something.
Because there's some ones that it's like you get the bottom half of the card and the top half of the card because the print sheet. Or like, you know, the coloration was totally wrong, or they just
inverted or something. Yeah, I think there were some pennies or nickels way back, like before the Great Depression, and there were some that like I think they got like double printed, so it's like Lincoln's face is on the front and the back.
And so I was going to say the same thing. Like if you can find a double-headed quarter, it's like $600. It's like $1,000 quarter.
Yeah, it's
because it had two the same side.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know, man. I think there's like a dollar bill. I remember seeing like on a show, this guy had a collector dollar bill. But if you look at like the numbers on it, it just says like 000000001, and it's like the first one. Yeah, it literally came. It was like FDR just got into office, and it was like, it's
Imagine having that the first one.
I know, dude. But there is like weird shit like that. It's yeah.
Honestly, I think that's why I'm so into collecting Magic cards, is because I've always kind of been a collector, you know, like I was that kid looking for fossils in the playground.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just happy that there's so much intrinsic value attached to objects that are not necessary. It's not food.
Yeah.
It's not gas.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm not gonna eat this.
Yeah.
You know?
There's something cool about that. That
collector
value.
world. So like, you know, that's why I always look for those old quarters at work and everything.
Yeah.
I just went to the downtown Berlin. I went to the antique shop, and then someone had a stand, and it was all old coins, and he had all those quarters that like me and Vinny always look for, and each one was like $6, $7, $8. I was like, that's what.
I used to have them. Yeah, you can turn those into rings. I remember my grandma showed me how when we were little. You can take them. Yeah. It takes like a couple weeks, but if you take them, and it will drive people around you insane. But if you take a spoon and you just tap on the edges, because it's silver, it's malleable, and it starts to get fat. And then like the stuff in the center gets slowly pulled out, and then it gets really thin, and then you can just you almost take like a knife and you can just shave off the inside, and you can have like a silver ring, and it's made out of a quarter. It's kind of cool, but they also feel different. I know Vinny's always looking at them like, if you just pick up a stack and you feel them, you can actually feel them because they're softer. They're a little smoother.
They're softer, and they get they get the patinas on them.
Yeah. They have a shine.
That's cool.
It's. Well, there's in the 40s, there are I forget what year it is, but there are steel pennies. There's a couple steel pennies because you had to use they had to use the copper for the war effort. They're steel pennies. I think that's kind of badass.
Those are nice.
That's badass.
That's why, you know, that wine that we have at work called Mercury Head. That's an orange.
I bought one for my mom for her birthday.
You got one?
Yeah, I bought it.
Damn, boy, ballin'. Like, isn't that such a funny thing? Like, those are Mercury Head dimes. You can only use the Mercury Head dimes. They were like $3 at the store.
They're not cheap, dude. They're not cheap at all, dude.
And they're just rare too.
Yeah. It's baller. It's
there is 1 year of those that's minted, and it's like $100 for those Mercury Head dimes.
Jesus.
And I've heard if you send one to the vineyard, they just send you a free bottle of Mercury Head.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, cool.
That's pretty badass. So got you for 7 more minutes, and I'm gonna milk all 7 minutes of those. So what's the future of it? What's the future of your trading? Do you go bulk into like smaller profit margins, or do you keep hunting for these like, I don't know, these like great white sharks, if you will?
So I'm a little worried that I don't want to like hope for another recession, but like, you know, that age-old thing, recessions make millionaires.
Yeah, it's that's gonna be the sound bite. It's not that I'm wishing for a recession, but
so when I first got into it, you know, I didn't even mention this, but essentially gambling. I was straight gambling. I was buying people's collections sight unseen, right? And they were like, dude, I don't know what I got. And I was like, I don't know what you got.
I don't care.
So I made quite a lot of money the first few times. I got super lucky. I was buying these people's collections on the Eastern Shore. They didn't want to put any time into it. They didn't care, and I don't feel bad about it. A ton of money because they didn't know what they had, right? So I bought someone's collection for $80, and I'm going through the first 3 cards I look. It's 30, 30, 30. I'm like, I just made $10.
Okay, boom.
I made like $1,200.
Jesus,
right?
Fuck.
He had everything, not vintage, but like he had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Another one, like I bought someone's cards. It was like one little box. He was like, dude, I only bought cards in 2017. That's it. And I was like, ugh, I'll give you 20.
Yeah.
So I haggled them down. First card I look at, it's like a $60 card. I'm like, sweet. I go through it and he's like, I probably made like $300 on that.
Jesus.
So I took all that and I invested it when the recession hit. And I think the future of it, I really do. Some of these old cards, I really do want to hold on because they're on the reserve list. They're never going to be printed again. It's kind of like the safest version of investing in Magic. It's kind of like having stock in Tesla or Apple or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like guaranteed 10% every year, like guaranteed, like return. So for me, I think my plan of attack is probably to just slowly build my position on certain things and just sit on them. I mean, honestly, I sold those cards the other day and I'm probably going to regret it in 5 years. I sold a few that were like, they were 2 of them were on the reserve list. Actually, 3 of them were on the reserve list. They were in good condition and they're never going to be printed again ever. So
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like you would.
I profited, but
yeah, I feel like in my limited knowledge, I would say like you hold on to the reserve list, right?
Yeah,
and then you just fuck with other ones.
Mm-hmm. And even if they do away with it and they get sued a bunch of money, but then they end up making a bunch of money because they can just build their player base. They're still the first printings of the cards, and they would never redo the same art. It would never be the same. So I do firmly believe if they got rid of it, I don't think it would affect the card values that much, but I think it would scare enough people to saturate the market and they would crash in price pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I think it would be then I think it would be like a really slow 10-year kind of like, oh, like why did we all freak out? So I don't know. I hope they don't do away with it, but I don't know. They've been talking. There's been a lot of market noise about that. It's scary, bro.
Yeah. Now, are there? Do you have any that like you have your eye on that you're just waiting for like the perfect storm?
So listen, obviously everyone wants Power 9. They're the best cards in Magic. They're so iconic. It's like the grind. It's like I'm grinding to get those cards, and I guarantee when I have them, I'm like,
give a fuck.
Looking at them, like, I don't get it.
Let's sell them. Yeah, let's sell them. Let's go get some beer. Yeah, fuck this.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen because I look at these cards and I look and I'm like, I can't sell them. And I look at them, I'm like, I can't sell them. I don't want it. Like, I love them. Like, that's the thing. It's not only like, it's not just numbers. It really is like, I mean, it's nice to have a physical object that is worth money and that is like, for me, it just invokes some sort of like nostalgic,
You could even say it invokes.
And I love fantasy. Art is amazing. They're every art. This is like they're all hand drawn paintings.
Yeah. I mean, there is not no pun intended. I was gonna say it does invoke some magic, but like it's
okay.
Magic, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like the argument with gold, right? It's what most places that like sell gold, it's like assets you can hold, right? Because Tesla is that's just electrons on a screen. It's just in some server somewhere. If there's a solar flare, it's all gone.
Oh no!
Right? It's just all fuck. What if that's how 2020 goes, man? Solar flare.
I wouldn't even. I'd be like, makes sense.
Yeah, I'd be like, touche. Or I think it's gonna be UFOs. I think there's gonna be like an undeniable. No government's gonna have to like release videos. I think there's just gonna be this like multiple cities, a million different cameras. Nothing that can be faked. It's just gonna be like people posting it on every platform. You're gonna be able to go out and see it with your eyes. That's how I think. That's what I think.
Some sort of anomaly that's
something in front of the moon that like we can all see that like they can't hide. That's what I think, and hopefully
you'll be doing your podcast. All of a sudden it'll be dark, and you're just like you're both all like,
ooh, yeah. That's. Do you think that? We'll wrap this bitch up in a minute. You see, how Rogan invited Trump and Biden. Why did I just say Biden? Biden. He's inviting Trump and Biden on his podcast to do a debate.
I saw that.
And Trump is accepted.
Trump said he would do a 4-hour.
But now Trump is pushing sponsored ads on social media, Facebook, Instagram, saying
he's trying to monetize it.
well, no, he's not just, because at first he's like, I'll do it, Joe Biden won't, but now he's running ads to push it onto as many people. He's saying, Sleepy Joe won't do it, I will. So
dude, I'm there for it, man. That's 2020.
Dude, I will fucking, I hope it happens,
Seal the
dude.
deal.
We need to do a pay-per-view. I would fucking, you, me, and Vinny need to fucking close the bar down and watch it.
Yes. And drink a bottle of bourbon at work.
Drink a bottle of bourbon out. Jesus Christ. Fucking
Shout
hey.
out Jason and Zach.
Shout out Jason and Zach. I mean, if you're gonna go out, go out hard. Order a bunch of fast food. Rip the vape in the store. Drink a bottle of bourbon.
2020.
My friend sent me a meme, and I want to hold it up. I was gonna say I'll just show you, but I don't know if you can read it if it's inverted.
God, at the end of 2020, it's just a prank, bro. Camera's right there.
Just a prank, bro. Oh, you got me.
You got me, God.
Oh. Everyone that died from COVID comes out from behind the curtains. They're like, ah. And everyone's like, oh, no. Guy comes out. Thanks for watching 2020. Credits rolling. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsors. And all of us are just dancing. That's what I think life is. I think we die, and it's just like the curtain rolls, and everyone's laughing. And they're like, you fell for it. You thought you were dead. Like,
you're dead.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
all right, we'll wrap this bitch up. Let's
right, buddy.
let's definitely do another one, man. That was fun as fuck.
Yeah, I'm pretty ADD. I can talk about almost everything.
That's the best way to go, because if you try to set it on one thing, it becomes dry. You gotta get the UFOs and the aliens out of your system. For me, that's what I find. I gotta get it out. It's because otherwise it doesn't work. But So
I definitely beat Vinny's time, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So fuck you, Vinny.
I can finally say, Vinny, you can't go as long as me. I do it.
Yeah. Even though me and Vinny's was cut off because I had to go to work.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut up. The record is 4 hours and 32 minutes.
Whoa, my ass already hurts.
Yeah, you'd have to. I don't know, man. I don't know if you could do that.
I'll try next time.
All right. Well, I got another one. If I do my third podcast today, I'll send you the book. It's an author I'm having on. He's now become like a friend of mine. But he wrote a book called Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect. But it's a book about what happens if we achieve like a cyber utopia. And it kind of goes into, I think you'd be interested in it. It's like, what would you do if you could just have sex nonstop for like 40 years? Like, it eventually it gets into like, would you get bored? And that's what happens.
Would you get bored?
Because they start to get bored, and they start to like go into these weird. They experience pain as pleasure, and they create simulations and go into
because they have to find other outlets.
They have to find new unique shit, so they go into like, you can get simulated and go into like Auschwitz or something. You can like experience, but it's weird, dude. It's weird.
It's trippy.
It's very trippy, but it's a great book.
Yeah, send me that.
I will. Yeah. So this probably, because I got this one from this morning I got to upload, and then this one, and then I got the next one. So there's like a backlog of uploads. So this probably won't be up till like tomorrow, just FYI.
That's all good. I just can't wait to see what you title it. That's like...
I talked to a moron. Don't spoil it.
Don't force it.
What do you want? What do you want? Do you want me to I'll let it bubble up organically.
No, I'm just excited.
Well, now you're putting me on the spot.
If it's bad, I'll let you know.
If it's bad, I'll let you know at work, bud. All right, you'll know.
Nah.
They'll show up, and I won't be able to sign in. All right, Forrest. I'll see you. When are you working next? I'm working Friday.
Or tomorrow and Friday.
Okay, I won't see you Friday.
In the next 5 days.
All right, I'll work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think Monday, Tuesday. So
I'm there.
Party.
I'm there.
All right, dude. I'll see you.
Hey, buddy.
Peace.
Later.
Godspeed. Stay safe.